Just one last thing, Mary Lou McDonald, because I'm trying to multitask here while we're talking.
What a challenge for any man.
Don't be sexist, Mary Lou.
Sorry.
The letter. And one final thing that I want in a few minutes we've available, and that's a united Ireland. Because when I put it to Micheál Martin yesterday, when he was doing the interview in the chair that you're sitting in now, he said that Sinn Féin is the biggest barrier to Irish unity. You're rolling your eyes when I say that. He says that basically because you have alienated so many unionists, or the IRA alienated so many, that you're not the voice who can persuade those people to engage in Irish unity. So what's your response to that?
Well, Sinn Féin is back in the power-sharing government with the representatives of unionism, not just the DUP, but the UUP. I'm often struck at the fact that, lots of people talk about unionism and working with unionism. We actually do it on a day-to-day basis. I would say very clearly, Irish unity is not solely the preserve of Sinn Féin. This is everybody's business. And the reality is that we need to start planning for it now. And I mean, I don't want us to be the sole proponents of a new Ireland.
But what about that particular point that you can't appeal to unionists because of the IRA connection? That if they're going to be encouraged to engage in a united Ireland, it'll have to be by people more moderate.
Like Micheál.
Well, I think that's what he thinks.
Well,
yes.
indeed.
And maybe
what an interesting conclusion for him to arrive at.
But he would say that he has never supported violence.
I don't think that unionism need a proxy to represent their views. Unionist people are very smart people. They're rational people. They have a view of the world that's different to mine. Their ambition, their constitutional ambition is different to mine. But let me tell you, they have plenty of able representatives to articulate their views and to champion their views. And of course, that is what they must do. The reality is this, is that Micheál Martin doesn't want to begin the process of planning for Irish unity. It's astonishing that a leader of Fianna Fáil, the Republican Party, is so utterly resistant, almost hostile, Matt, to any talk of Irish unity.
We are trying to arrange the opportunity for you and he and Leo Varadkar to have that three-way debate.
That would be excellent.
So we're hoping to get that with all the logistics sorted out next Monday on the programme. We have the invitations out, and I know you're interested in doing it, and Fianna Fáil are interested. But all of the things that you're talking about would cost an absolute fortune. You're talking about spending multiples of what the other political parties are speaking about spending when it comes to public funds. Let's just take one example.
Sure.
You want to build 100,000 council houses over the next 5 years. A cost of 6.5 billion. Is that 6.5 billion per annum?
No, that's 6.5 billion by way of additionality over the programme.
When you say additionality, because that works out at 65,000 a unit, you'd be well pressed to get an extension built in Dublin for 65,000.
Well, look, first of all, it's not 100. You've described it as 100,000 council houses. They're not actually 100,000 council houses. There'll be 60,000 council houses and then 30,000 affordable houses. I think mainly for first-time buyers, but certainly for those families and couples who have just been priced out of the market, and then 10,000 cost rental. So it is a package of measures. It's essential that we invest at this level and scale, because other than that, we are simply not going to get to the point where we clear the council lists and where people can actually afford their home.
And who would build all these houses? Would you put the local authority in charge of hiring staff to be members of the local authority, or would you get private contractors to do it?
We don't envisage it through that. And we are very conscious of the fact that there is currently a skills shortage. We know that a lot of the talent that we need to actually build these houses has gone elsewhere, and also that lots of it is currently consumed by building commercial properties. So we need to redirect the effort of the industry into building homes. We also need to ensure that we rebuild our skill base. So that means more apprenticeships. And it is also the case, I believe, that, once it is clear that the incoming government is embarking on this enormous programme for house building, the largest public house building programme in the history of the state, I believe that there's lots of workers abroad who will quite happily come home. Some people who travel away to work But I accept the point that we have to
and
find
how
the
many
labour
private
to
houses
deliver.
will be built simultaneously with all these local authority houses?
That's a matter for the private sector. You see,
but surely you want to have ambitions for that, because if those houses get built as well, that will take the pressure off the rental sector, because supply is the major issue.
Supply, well, there's no disagreement on that. I think we all accept that supply is the issue. I think it is, however, dubious for any government to say that they can set and meet targets of builds in the private sector, by the private sector for profit. I think developers spot their opportunities, see their chance and build. What the government can control is the level of state intervention. And Matt, that's been the big problem. You see, the outgoing government and the government beforehand believed that you could sit back, sit on the sidelines, cross your fingers and hope that the private sector was going to.
But is there not an awful lot of hope in what you're suggesting as well? For example, you want to hire 2,500 more nurses and midwives, 1,000 more doctors and consultants. Where would they come from? Because it seems that there's a willingness in all parts to get these additional staff, but they just don't seem to be there.
Well, those figures are in our manifesto because that's what's necessary. So
I don't doubt that they're needed, because everyone's saying they're needed. But where do we get them?
So we recruit them. And
from where?
And you recruit them domestically, you recruit them internationally. There's a bit of a chicken and egg issue with the staffing piece, because the biggest push factor, I believe, for nurses, for doctors also, is that the system is currently under so much pressure that a lot of medical professionals don't believe that their patients are even safe in their care.